Right now, inside your body, there's a communication network so fast and complex, it's honestly mind-blowing. It's this incredible information superhighway that powers every thought, every feeling, every single thing you do. So, let's dive in and follow the incredible journey of just one of those nerve signals.
I mean, think about it. It sounds so simple, right? You just decide you're going to do something, and then your body does it. But how does that idea, that non-physical thought in your head, actually become a real physical movement? Well, that's the big question we're going to unravel today.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to trace a signal right from the moment it's created. We'll follow it down the neuron highway, see how it pulls off this crazy electrical domino effect, crosses a chemical bridge, and finally accomplishes its mission. And then we'll zoom out and look at the master control system that's running everything else on autopilot.
Okay, so every one of these journeys has to start somewhere. It needs a trigger. Now that trigger could be a decision you make, like I want to pick up that cup, or it could be a signal coming in from the outside world, a sensation that needs to be reported back to HQ.
This is where it all kicks off. See, all over your body, you have these super specialized cells called sensory receptors. And when they detect something, like, say, the heat from a coffee cup, they do something amazing. They basically act as translators. They convert that physical feeling into the very first spark of an electrical signal.
So once that signal is born, it needs a way to get around, right? It needs a ride. And that's where the neuron comes in. This is the fundamental building block of our nervous system, a cell that is purpose-built to carry these messages at absolutely ridiculous speeds. You know, a really great way to think about a neuron is to picture a tree. The dendrites are like the branches, always listening and receiving signals from other cells. The cell body is kind of like the trunk, where all that info gets processed. And then you have the axon, which is like this super long route that sends the signal shooting off to its next destination. And when I say fast, I mean fast. Get this, the most urgent signals, the motor command shooting from your brain to your muscles, they can travel up to 268 miles per hour. That is faster than a Formula One car at top speed.
But here's the thing, not all signals travel at the same speed. Your body is incredibly efficient. It knows how to prioritize. So that urgent command to say, dodge something flying at your head, that gets the express lane. A signal for just a simple touch is still really, really fast. But a signal for a dull, chronic ache, yeah, that travels way slower. It's all a survival mechanism, really. The whole system is built to react instantly to the most immediate threats.
So, we have our signal, and it's blazing down the neuron's axon at this incredible speed. But how does it actually move? It's not like electricity just flowing through a copper wire. It's this really fascinating biological process we call the action potential.
Okay, that sounds a little technical, but the key thing to get here is that the neuron isn't just a passive wire. It's an active participant in this whole process. The action potential is the message. It's this self-sustaining wave of electrical energy that moves itself all the way down the axon. I want you to picture a line of dominoes. The neuron starts out in this resting state, just poised and ready. When a stimulus hits, it's like you've just tipped over that very first domino. A tiny electrical gate flies open, positive ions rush in, and it flips the electrical charge in that one spot. That flip immediately triggers the next gate down the line to pop open, and then the next, creating this perfect, unstoppable wave that just races down the axon. And right behind it, everything instantly resets itself, setting the dominoes back up to go all over again.
So our signal has just had this incredible high-speed journey down the axon, but now it hits a wall, or rather a gap. It can't just jump to the next neuron. There's this tiny little space in the way called the synapse, and to get across it, the signal has to do a complete quick-change act.
And what happens next is just wild. When that electrical signal gets to the very end of the line, it can't leap across that gap. So instead, it triggers the release of these tiny chemical messengers. The message literally changes its form, from electrical to chemical, just so it can cross this tiny little bridge.
And these little chemical messengers, they have a name, neurotransmitters. You can think of them as the official couriers of the nervous system. They're stored in these tiny little sacs, and when the signal arrives, they get released, float across that gap, and carry the message to the next cell in line.
But how does the next cell know what the message is? This is where the sheer elegance of the lock and key model comes in. It's brilliantly simple. Each neurotransmitter, that's the key, is shaped to fit perfectly into only one specific receptor, that's the lock, on the next neuron.
This makes sure that a signal for, say, moving a muscle doesn't get confused with a signal for feeling happy. It's a beautifully precise system.
Okay, let's get back to our hero signal, the one that started as a simple thought to kick a ball. It has traveled down a neuron, it's crossed a synapse to another neuron, and now, finally, it has reached its destination, the muscle. This very special connection point is called the neuromuscular junction. And here, the motor neuron releases a very specific neurotransmitter called acetylcholine. When that acetylcholine locks onto the receptors on the muscle fiber, it's like flipping a switch. It's a direct command, contract.
And here's a really important difference. Communication between two neurons can be kind of subtle. Sometimes you need a few signals to really get a message across. But the message to a muscle? Oh, that is designed not to fail. The signal is so powerful that a single impulse from that motor neuron is almost guaranteed to trigger a contraction. When your brain says move, the muscle absolutely listens.
Okay, so what we've just followed is a single voluntary command. But honestly, that's just a tiny fraction of the traffic happening on this superhighway. Most of what your body does, from breathing to your heart beating, is completely automatic. So let's zoom out and meet the master control system that's running the whole show behind the scenes. This is the autonomic nervous system, or the ANS for short. You can think of it as your body's silent, tireless autopilot. It's the manager that keeps your heart beating, your lungs breathing, and your food digesting, all without you ever having to waste a single thought on it. Now, the ANS itself has two main modes that are always working in this beautiful balance. You've got the sympathetic system, which you've probably heard of as fight or flight. This is what revs you up for action. It gets the heart pumping, opens up your airways, and preps you for stress. And then you have its partner, the parasympathetic system, the rest and digest mode. It does the exact opposite. It calms everything down, slows your heart, and focuses on recovery and maintenance.
And I mean, the list of things this system is constantly juggling is just staggering. We're talking about everything from your blood pressure and your body temperature to how much you're sweating and even how dilated your pupils are. The ANS is always making these tiny, constant adjustments to keep your body in a state of perfect balance.
So, let's just bring it all back home for a second. We've been looking at the mechanics of one tiny, single signal, just one little electrochemical event. But when you multiply that by the 100 billion or so neurons in our brains, you get something profound. These interactions, they aren't just biological processes anymore. They are the physical foundation of our thoughts, our memories. They literally define who we are.
Trillions upon trillions of these signals are firing inside you every single second, constructing your entire reality from the ground up. And that leaves us with a pretty fascinating question to chew on. In this constant chaotic storm of electricity and chemistry, what is it that makes a single thought, a single intention, truly yours?